Given the dismal state of the world economy and the fact that the petrol price is trying its best to reach the ozone layer, it should come as no surprise that small cars are big business. Even South Africans who see cars as extensions of their egos are opting for smaller and cheaper. And so their choices over the last little while have grown in that section of the market, and now we have one of the smallest cars from the world's biggest manufacturer. This is the Toyota Etios, and it's a brand new contender in the class known as Sub-B. It's up against the likes of the VW Polo Vivo, Ford Figo and Chevy Spark, and our current favorite in these ranks, the Kia Picanto. Our test car is the top-of-the-range SDXS, and it's time to find out what 126,600 Rand buys you. Toyota's styling can be summed up in one word: safe. A good way to get to become the world's biggest manufacturer of cars is to make sure that you please most of the people most of the time, and that means keeping your designers and any errant ideas they might have in check. The Etios is not going to turn any heads in traffic, but by the same token, it's not going to offend anyone either. In front, it features a sort of automotive smile, which, worryingly, is the new family face of Toyota. Not sure how well a smiling Land Cruiser will go down. All Etios models feature the same chrome minimalism and the same 14-inch wheels with caps. Our test car has some extra color coding and front fog lights. Toyota will tell you that it has design elements that give this car character and dynamism, but really, it's just a cute-looking boxy thing. Cars in this corner of the market tend to show their budget-conscious DNA most obviously in the interior. There's generally a lot of plastic and not very many options, and a general sense that your money's been spent elsewhere on the car. The Etios is about what you'd expect. It's got some decent bits, but it's also got some bits that you have to get used to. Things like the entire central display area. It has this sort of retro-style speedo and rev counter combination, and a really tiny LCD screen that displays fuel, trip and odometer. Then there's a headlight adjustment switch, which is not something you'll have to interact with very often, thankfully, because it's horrendous. But the Etios gets some points for a decent set of features, including aircon, electric windows, radio with USB, decent-looking, comfortable front seats, and very good space, even in the back. Ultimately, the positives in here outscore the negatives, because although it may have some oddities, the interior keeps you comfortable. At this point, I'm not entirely sure about the Etios. For the same sort of money, you can get a Kia Picanto, which is better looking, has an interior with better features, and is nicer to interact with. It doesn't have the same sort of power as this car, but it is offered as an automatic. So there must be something in the drive. Powering our test car is a class-leading 1500 motor with 66 kilowatts and 132 newton meters. Toyota's fuel consumption claim is 6 liters per 100 Ks. Ordinarily, 66 kilowatts feels pretty average, but in here, it's surprising. It's got plenty of go off the line, and even on the open road in 5th gear, it manages to conjure up more power when you need it. You wouldn't think that a car like the Etios could behave like a hooligan, but if you aren't careful, that's exactly what it'll do. Without much provocation or effort, this little car will spin its wheels and torque steer all the way home. Not very entry-level behavior, but it does mean that, in some respects at least, the Etios does have a little bit of character. And as easy as it is to get the thing to step out of line, it's just as easy to keep in check once you know where the limits are. As for the rest, well, a 5-speed manual gearbox has got an easy clutch and a good set of cogs. The ride setup is comfortable and the brakes handle the sometimes over-exuberant power. Being a city car, you'd expect the electric power steering in the Etios to be light, and it is. Very light. Very, very light. Light to the point of feeling disconnected. I know that in a car like this, the driver doesn't necessarily want to feel every ripple and bump in the road, but some sort of feedback would be nice. It actually feels a little uncomfortable to have that level of numbness through a steering wheel. All in all though, the Etios is a good contender in its segment. The Toyota Etios may not be the best looking thing on the road, and it may not have the flashiest interior, but it's got the basics right. It offers decent value with a comfortable ride and just the right amount of interior spec. It may not be the strongest contender in its class, but something tells me it'll be just fine because it's got something that none of its competition has. That badge. The 1500 motor is the biggest surprise in the Etios package, offering very good power, sometimes too good. It's decently spec'd, although it looks a little boring by comparison to some of its competition, and it can get out of hand without too much effort.